Hello you plonkers and welcome back to another video on the Druzy channel. It's sort of almost coming to the end of the season, Jesse. You can almost predict who's going to win the Brownlow medal. So today we're going to discuss, I put the top 6 players forward who I think are a sniff at it.
Brownlow. Yeah, we are at the business end of the football season, as you say, and there's been a few players more than others that have sort of bobbed up for a Brownlow medal. And,
Who's Barb?
Nah, Robert Murphy. Most of the guys that seem to be in contention at the moment haven't won a Brownlow yet as well, so
yes,
we're most likely going to see a new face win the medal this year, which is exciting. So we've done this in reverse order of what we predict are the favourites to win the Brownlow, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty top heavy. Like the bottom few are just like sneaky chances who have polled very well earlier in the season. But yeah, you'll see. Yeah, make of it what you will.
There's been some years where there's a clear favourite and they end up winning. I'm thinking Tom Mitchell, I want to Dusty Martin probably back in the day, and Lockie Neal last year were pretty clear favourites. But then you have a few bob up like Nat Fyfe in 2019. Even though he was a great player, not many people sort of respected him in the odds. And Matt Priddis in 2014 was a big shock as well. So who knows? So the first candidate that we're going to nominate now is a player who's sort of come into his own sort of later in the season. I think he wasn't an early contender at the start of the year, but I'm talking about Ollie Wines from the Port Power. He's a player that started his career red hot, maybe sort of stagnated a little bit as Port sort of stagnated as a club from memory, and now he's about 26, turning 27, and now he's really starting to hit his prime. He's had at least 2 BOG performances, so 3 vote performances. Had he had more, he'd probably be higher in the rankings, but he's also been a really consistent player. Yeah, he's currently projected to have about 14 votes on the AFL website after 16 rounds, so that's pretty good. If you're getting about a vote a game, you're usually going to be in the top 5 depending on the year. He ranks elite for disposals and contested possessions and inside 50s as well, so he's actually, you know, impacting as well, driving the ball forward. The only threat, I guess, is Travis Boak has bobbed up for a few BOG performances probably, or at least close, and might take a few votes off him, but he is playing outstanding football, and I think he had 43 on the weekend as well, so absolutely large.
He's actually quite low odds compared to some other people on this list, and it's because he's really coming to form at this point in the season. At the start of the season, he was playing solid, but he's been Port's best player for the last month or so.
So at this stage, he probably remains an outside chance based on the season so far, but with the momentum he's getting, he could easily get a few BOGs, and, you know, if you get 2 or 3, that's 6 to 9 votes. Yeah, that could change things. 7
games left in the season. We expect him to poll a lot more. Very big underdog to win the Brownlow, paying $36 is David Mundy. Now, he's up there, right up there in the votes. I think he's got 18 Brownlow votes predicted on the AFL website with 6 best on ground performances. Yeah,
that's the thing that maybe he hasn't been consistently in the top handful, especially lately, but obviously you get a lot of votes for being BOG, so if you bank those early, that'll matter.
The start to the season that he had was elite. Like, it was the best form of his career, so late in his career as well. I think he's about 35, 36. He doesn't rank elite in contested possessions or tackles or anything like that. He's an old boy. We've got to go easy on Davey Mundy, but he makes such a big impact in the contest. As soon as he gets the ball in any space at all, he's so damaging. He's got such a high football IQ and really top level composure as well. He's ranked elite in score involvement, so that's his only elite stat, but yeah, probably Freo's most damaging player. You know, when David Mundy has the ball, something's gonna happen.
He's one of those players that when he gets the ball, he never really gets caught. Like, he's just, even though he's not quick, he's like in the same way that Pendlebury never gets caught, even though not being fast. He's just able to get out of traffic and generally does something positive with the ball, so the stat about score involvements does not surprise me.
You talk about how he doesn't get caught, that's probably what's played to his longevity. He's not always like at the bottom of the packs and getting hit hard and tackled, as you said. The only thing stopping him, other than his age and the fact that there's 4 more players more likely to win the Brownlow on this list, is Fyfe, Chera, Brayshaw will all be taking votes from him.
Yeah, that's true. A bit of a competitive midfielder. Brayshaw's missed a bit with injury, but there's definitely some votes he would have got, games he would have got votes. Yeah. People watching this might think, oh, you just maybe chuck the Freo guy in there because he maybe hasn't been getting the headlines in recent weeks, but you have to remember that the Brownlow is over the whole 23 rounds, and if you do really, really well early, it can put you in a good position to win the whole thing.
He's literally ranked 4th on the AFL website, so no bias here.
The player that we've ranked as the 4th most likely to win the Brownlow medal is St Kilda's Jack Steele, a player that's really sort of broken out in the last couple of years. He's projected to have 4 best on ground performances, which is just 12 right there, which is absolutely massive for St Kilda, and he's projected to have 17 Brownlow votes to this point of the season. So he's obviously in a very good position if he finishes the season strongly to take out the medal.
St Kilda has come into somewhat the best form of their season so far. It's been a very hard season, so it's not hard to put your best performances forward at the moment, but he's been their best player week in, week out all season. He's ranked elite in contested possessions and tackles. So he's a real bulldozing midfielder, very hard-nosed, hunts the ball better than anyone else in the competition.
Yeah, I think he had 36 on the weekend, 14 tackles. I believe he's had 16 games where he's had 20 possessions and 10 tackles as well. So he's, I'll compare him to a player from my club, Elliot Yeo. Although he gets a lot more of the ball than Yeo, he's just an absolute prolific tackler.
I don't think there'd be many players that work as hard as him in the league. Yeah, he's been a real a bright spot for such a dark season that St Kilda have had.
While we talk about St Kilda having a pretty good inside midfield, I don't know if there'd be too many players taking votes off Jack Steele. I think he's been clearly their best midfielder.
He'll benefit from Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder being back.
That's a great point. Great point.
Paying $7, and I've ranked the third most likely to win the Brownlow is Darcy Parish. No one would have predicted this at the start of the season. He was a pretty C to B grade midfielder coming into this year, and with the players going out like Dylan Shiel, Jai Caldwell, who were probably the more dominant inside mids at the start of the season, he's really stood up to the plate, surprisingly. He was a high draft pick a few years ago, and that potential was finally being realised.
I think he was pick 3, and drafted as an inside mid, and then sort of one of those players that gets pushed to a flank and isn't able to demonstrate what they're capable of. And of course, as an inside mid, you need time to physically develop as well. But they chuck him in the guts this year, and he's one of the best players in the competition on form. So yeah,
Zach Merritt is another player who gathers a lot of the ball. So him and Andy McGrath, before he got injured, could potentially have taken votes from him, but he's had multiple 40+ disposal games. I don't think any Essendon player in history has had more 40 disposal games than Darcy Parish, and he's done it only in this year.
Didn't he break the record for most possessions by an Essendon player? I think in that the Dreamtime game, and he's also won a couple of medals in the Dreamtime game and the Anzac Day as well. So he's already won a couple of medallions this year.
He won the one against Geelong, whatever that was. There was one against Geelong, so he's won 3 medals in 3 losing games.
I want to say
2 losing games.
I think that's games about the country Victoria. Or
I
don't know what the medal's called, but and they got belted.
It's a tin pot medal.
Wait, so he won the medals in massive losses against Geelong and Richmond. That's crazy.
But he's going to be a huge part of Essendon's future, and the fact that he's 3rd ranked in the Brownlow is really telling of how good a season he's had. And very unpredictable. Who would have saw it coming?
Definitely the most surprising player on this list. The player on this list that we've rated the 2nd most likely to win the Brownlow medal, paying $5.50 odds, Clayton Oliver of the Melbourne Football Club, in a team that's obviously top of the ladder. He's been really, really impressive and consistent as well. I think he's had 4 BOG performances as estimated by AFL.com and projected to have a massive 22 votes. If he's actually on 22 votes at this point of the season, that is an incredible stat. He ranks elite for disposals at 30.9, contested possessions, score involvements, and clearances. So not only is he winning the ball out of centre, he's being part of the chain that ends up in a goal as well. And then, to be fair, Melbourne are a good team, so a lot of their chains do end up in goals, I guess. But on the other flip side, Petrarca is obviously, he's not in our list, but he's obviously one of the better players in the competition. So there's games where he could take votes. And I guess you could say Gawn could bob up for a few, but then again, ruckmen generally don't poll well. But he's the All-Australian ruck, in my opinion. So he's got a little bit of competition there, but I think he's clearly been their best player over the last little while.
Gets tagged most weeks as well and breaks through the tag. I remember he got tagged in that game against Brisbane, broke through it and ended up dominating in that second half, and it won Melbourne the game. He's probably the most damaging player in the AFL. The fact that he gets tagged most weeks
quite physically hard to keep down as well. He's a bustling sort of midfielder.
Big bustling.
Badass.
We've been used to saying that Melbourne are at the top of the ladder, but for the first time in a while they're not. The Bulldogs have just taken over. But Clayton Oliver has probably been Melbourne's most important player for such a dominant side. One of the best players in the league at the moment.
Definitely.
The number 1 ranked Brownlow medal favourite at the moment is Marcus Bontempelli. Bontempelli is one of my favourite players to watch. You think he's the best player in the competition. This year he's really showed it. 7 best on ground performances, Jesse, with 26 predicted Brownlow votes already. 17 games into the season in such a stacked side as well.
If he's seriously on 26, then he's a chance to break the record, to be honest, because I think the record is like 37, I want to say, Dusty, maybe 36, around that range anyway. With 7 games left, he could easily eclipse that.
He's been playing a lot of forward over the years, and that's probably taken away from his disposal count. But with Josh Bruce firing away, Cody Waven and Norton in that forward line, he doesn't really rotate through the forward line. And I think because the Bulldogs have a lot, or they've added Treloar to that midfield, they've got a lot of midfield talent in there. Everybody knows that. I think he probably doesn't get the best midfielder every week, just because, your Liberatores, McRae's, Dunkleys and Treloars can be as damaging. So he's just another strong link in that chain. And yeah, the Bulldogs are on top of the ladder. And yeah, Bontempelli is literally the best player in the league. So many highlights this year as well. That goal against West Coast where he busted through a pack and snapped it over his head. He's an all-time player, Bontempelli. Already won a flag. Could add to that this year.
He kicks our ass every time we play them, and I'm sure I'm not the only fan who can say that, regardless of who you go for.
Up Freo.
Yeah. He's the sort of player, no joke, when he gets the ball, I literally go, fuck, this is going to end in something good.
Yeah.
He's just like a physical beast, hard to bring down, so he never really gets caught. He's also like elusive despite not being fast, but he's also like really classy, uses the ball well, and then obviously he's a threat going forward as well. So yeah, kicks stupid goals. He's kicked 21 goals this season as well, so absolutely, like, not many, I know he's a forward mid hybrid, but not many like forward mids can say they're as much as like he's actually a midfielder, are hitting the scoreboard as effectively as him.
Most of his goals, I reckon, would come from the middle. It's not often you see him like go down the end of the lead and have a set shot. Obviously, it does happen from time to time, but you always see him busting out of the middle of the pack, off the middle of the ground, out of a pack, and yeah, having a shot from 50. And a lot of times it comes off.
True, and yeah, you compare that to someone like Danger, who you generally see leading up as a forward. I don't think Bont does that. Well, at least that's not the genesis of a lot of his goals.
Only 2 elite stats, but probably the most important: meters gained and score involvement. So I think he leads the league, or would be right up there, 578 meters gained. I mean, that is the most important stat because you have to get the ball up the ground. So
8.5 score involvements is massive as well. That's ridiculous. It shows how productive he is when he gets the ball, like what we were saying about Mundy. Score involvements is a pretty important stat, or compelling stat. One of the things that will work against him is Jack Macrae is also almost a lock for an All-Australian midfielder this year.
Liberatore too.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, there's a thread of that, and I think Macrae's not got less than 30 touches this year. That being said, I think Bont's comfortably the better player, and I hope that the votes reflect that.
I think, Christian Petrarca, Zach Merritt could have been in this conversation, but I wanted to have players from different teams and whatnot, but yeah.
That's right. So what we've done so far is reflected based on what we've seen so far. Shall we offer an actual prediction of what will happen?
Alright, go on. I'm torn between Oliver and Bontempelli. In my mid-season predictions, I predicted Oliver. In my pre-season predictions, I predicted Lachie Neale, but obviously he's been injured, so you won't be able to poll as high.
And that could throw this out of whack as well. As soon as somebody gets an injury, you'd think from this point, even Bont probably won't win it if he gets injured. So
true. I'll say Clayton Oliver. I'm locking Clayton. What about you?
I'm going to say Bont. It's the easy choice because he's the favourite, and I think he's the best player in the comp. And I think if he goes on this current trajectory, this could be a legacy season where he wins the Brownlow and
potentially a flag.
Yeah, potentially a flag. That's a good point. In the same vein as Dusty in 2017 as well, where he was just far and away the best player. I think Bont's not that far off that level, to be honest.
Not at all. He's still pretty young as well, isn't he?
26. Yeah. And that's the scary thing about the Bulldogs. Look at their Bont. Macrae's not much older. I think he's a year older. Treloar's 28. I guess. Bailey Smith's like 20. Aaron Norton's like 21.
Cody Waitman, he's looking like he'll be a real good forward.
Jamara Ugle-Hagan hasn't played a game yet. He's the number 1 pick. And then they might get an early pick this year with Sam Darcy in the draft. That's ridiculous.
Legacy building.
There is between the Dogs and Melbourne, I'm maybe not excited, but I'm tempted to see there could be a little rivalry dynasty going on.
For sure. That's going to wrap up the video anyway, so thank you for watching. Go check out Jesse's channel. What are we doing on your channel, Jesse?
Well, we've done a number of things. We talked about Richmond recently. We're going to also do a similar video about this, talking about Rising Stars, and then just generally about the top 8 races. Tons of footy content coming thick and fast.
Keep an eye on both of our channels. Subscribe if you're enjoying the content. See you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.